I'm Majo John Madden in my beached whale of a car, my 2000 Dodge Ram 1500 camper van, which is parked behind the Hampton Inn in Victoria, Tamaulipas State, Mexico. I managed to get it back here the other day. It had broken down in a shopping mall near here, but it's stuck here until I get my check because I can't afford to do mechanic work to fix it. But it's okay. It's way in the back of the parking lot where nobody parks. It's quiet and it's all fenced in, so my dog can get out of the car, and he is a nocturnal hunter. He wants to be in and out during the night. And there's the little puppy drinking water. And I explained elsewhere that the puppy got lost today. He was gone. He was desaparecido or something like that. Sounds like Louis Aparicio, who was the shortstop for the White Sox. I think it's disappeared, which is a pretty tragic name because that's the name they've used for right-wing governments that disappear their opponents. I think to this day that's going on. But he was disappeared. He was gone for 40 minutes, and it put me through such an emotional ringer. Oh my God. That I've just been opening up all kinds of memories about parenting. I made a video of my worst moments in parenting, and now this is number 4 of good memories of parenting. And I'm going to tell a story about when Terry and it was my last year in Syracuse. We had moved from Nova Scotia, Canada to Syracuse for Sandy to get her PhD. She had been a teacher and supported me while I got my PhD in clinical psychology. She said it's my turn. And she went to a very fine program in special education at Syracuse and loved it and really threw herself into it and ditched me, essentially, threw all her energy into her graduate work. And our marriage was so done. It was so done. It was always... We had to work way too hard to make it work. We were married too young. We were really not matched for each other at all. And I honestly don't believe in monogamy anymore. No, I won't go there. And I don't think it should be the gold standard for relationships, because for most people it doesn't work very good. Some people it works really good. I'd say for most people it doesn't work very good. And there's a news story came across that I never read. I hope I can find it, about the hatred between so many marital partners. They actually hate each other. And it's because, you're like tied at the leg by shackles when you shouldn't be. I don't think it's a natural state at all. So we went to Syracuse. She threw herself into her graduate work. By the end of a year there, I said, okay, I got to pull the plug on this, and I did. And we raised our child for 4 years. He was half-time with each of us. And for some of that time, I was just like a couple blocks away from Sandy, and it was just like even in the same place in the block, but just 2 blocks apart. So that worked really good. And then the last year in Syracuse, I moved out to the country to Marcellus. Was a lovely country town, and rented a beautiful old farmhouse. I was making good money, but I needed roommates. And my roommate was Marge Isabel, who I looked her up on Been Verified a couple years ago, and I got information for her, and I don't think I ever called her. I don't know why, because she was awesome. One of my favorite roommates of all time. But I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to tell another story about her and me. But this one is about Terry and good experiences as a parent. Terry loved being out there. It was a really safe environment. We were well off the road, and it was a relatively quiet road. We had a big barn. There was a big barn. And his buddy Eric, he's got really fast friends. He had a beautiful friendship with an adorable little blonde-haired kid named Eric. I'm almost sure Terry has had other Eric friends in his life, but I want to say he was Eric. I'm not positive. and they would go play up in the hayloft of the barn and jump down into the hay. I mean, what an awesome thing for a 6-year-old. And they would make forts. They would go behind the big heavy sofa, fabric sofa, and build forts back there. And part of what got me thinking about that today is my little puppy can go places that I can't access him. You know, he was just hiding under the Coke machine in the hotel. And he'll get in places in the car here where I just can't even fish him out. So kids love that. Little ones love that. Just spaces that are just for them. While we were there, I tell the story elsewhere after I went through the S training where they said the big payoff of the S, there's the movie Getting It. What you really get is that you're an asshole, and you get to look at all the ways you avoid love, all the ways you come from defensiveness and trying to defend your ego or your persona. And you get it, like, oh, what an asshole I've been. Oh my God, trying instead of just being me. It's windy, quite windy. And they say in there, your kids see it. You can see right through it. All the ways you tie yourself in knots trying to look good. And they said, talk to your kids about that. So Terry was 6, and we're driving down the road, and somebody else is driving, and he's on my lap. And I'm telling him about the S training, and I said, Terry knows. Terry, and I don't think I used asshole. I think, you know, his mother wouldn't approve. So I think I said jerk. You know that your dad's a big jerk, right? And he smirked. You know, like, that's a secret. I'm not supposed to say that. Of course I see it. But I'm not supposed to say that. That would be terrible. Bad things would happen to me if I just came out and said it. But I said it for him. So I think that's a cool thing to have given him. Marge and I at one point had a third roommate. Mary was a little blonde, and she had a child who was about Terry's age, about 6. And one night after the 2 boys had gone to bed, the 3 of us got high. None of us was a big marijuana user, but one night we all got high. And I think it was after Mary had gone to bed, Marge and I, who really liked each other tremendously, boy, there was good energy between us. We stayed up, and we had spaghetti. We had a big spaghetti feast, and we made stalactites and stalagmites on the ceiling. Have you ever done this? Tossing the strands of spaghetti and making them stick to the ceiling. So we really went for it. We created a whole little stalactite garden. And I think it was Marge who finally said, we better get those down. And our high had peaked, and we were both tired. We better get those down, because what are we going to say to the kids in the morning? And me, Mr. Smart, and Mr. Anarchist, said, let's just tell them there's too many rules around this house. And she was foolish enough to go along with me. So we did just that the next morning when the kids are looking at the stalactites and the stalagmites on the roof, the spaghetti. And I say, yeah, you know, kids, we think there's really been too many rules in this house. So those kids were testing for weeks. Well, okay, what's a rule now? And is this a rule now? And is that a rule now? It was chaos. Chaos reigned supreme. So that was Marcellus with Marge Isabel and Eric next door, and I don't remember Mary's. They were only roommates with us for about 3 or 4 months, I think. Okay, yeah.